Well, hello there. Currently looking at my connection, and it's not great today. Again, got a lot of excuses from the ISP, but we're going to try to push on here, and hopefully it won't be completely awful. But, yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens. That looks good. Let's take a look at this really quick. That seems alright. Maybe I'll do that to hopefully kind of mitigate some of the suck today. And we need to do that. Make sure this is good. Seems alright to me. Okay. So, we have tests to fix today. Hopefully, we can finish fixing them today. That would be really, really good. I would be happy with that. Let me get this closed. Did an update this morning with the old IDE. But it doesn't need to be floating around anymore. And we'll open a beverage. Delicious. Okay, so we have tile test to fix up. Let's go ahead get this rolling. Actually, I don't think we're going to need that second one open for a little bit here at the very least. I will need, however, to launch the database container real quick. That one right there. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so this is no longer going to be correct. Occupant. That was in tile. I think this is only used in tests now. So we're going to chuck it, because this is going to be a list of characters now. Pointers, specifically. Oh yeah, tile 2. Okay. Actually, hang on. Oop. We can do this smarter. And we're going to turn off regex mode. Occupant 0. We're going to replace all of that with make character 0. Okay. And then anything that actually had data we'll have to go through, take a peek at. But we just want to really get to the test will compile sort of land. And then we can go... We got rid of disconnect. So testing disconnect can then go away as well. Hey Sad, how's it going? I'm doing alright. Disconnect there. Disconnect there. Disconnect here. There we go. How are you doing today? That won't matter. Short description. This needs to be current location. You can actually just grab that right out of there. Like so. And then we don't need this anymore. We're going to need to use our... Well, hang on, actually. Because we changed the way this works pretty heavily. We're done with that for now. We should be done with that and that. This test probably doesn't make sense anymore. Because when we do a look and we get our description, test short description, because we do the work in game map now pretty much. Let's see here. It was up, right here. Get room data is what we should be testing. So this gets way easier. Let me just double check that we don't have... Yeah. We don't need to unwrap it from a message anymore. This is going to become get room data quick look. So all of that can go away. We don't really care about this at all. And I want to just double check that this only gives me... This returns me a room data event. Or struct. So it will have... Why were we doing that? We made it 3 by 3, so 0, 1, 0, 1 should be the dead center. But this doesn't do anything with these guys. Get exit info. Yeah. So this won't really matter. This won't test anything, really. We don't need to actually place the character because we don't have to listen to him. We don't need that at all. That should have been in a different test anyway, probably, but it's fine. Test tile package, new test map is going to create them like so. So what we just need to do is basically ditch all. Well, hang on. We'll ditch all of that. We don't actually need the character. We just need expected data still. Room data. Because this is a quick look, game events, quick look event. Occupants is interesting question. Do we nil you? Occupants, no, we give you an empty. Oh. Maybe we do want to put the test character in here. Just for the sake of having him there too. Just to test him. This is still crap. That still goes away. We can get... Yeah, bring all this back really quick. That still goes away. This still goes away. This we do need. That still goes away. This is a pointer to him. We don't need tags. We do need location. Don't need broker. We do need message. There we go. Okay. That's still fine. So we still need our room data here. This still needs to be quick look event. Occupants should be a list of character pointers that contains a pointer to test character. Oh, right. Game objects. That's fine. He'll still satisfy that. That's fine. Description should be test map tile grid at 1, 1. Oop, no comma there. Dot description. Not the verbose, but the little one. This should be a list of exit. Room exit. There we go. Inside of which we should have this. This is trickier because we have to convert. We don't want to use this because we're testing this as part of getting the room data. We might just have to roll with it here. What order do we put them in here? North, northwest. It's going to depend on how they come out of the map, I think. Except that's not true because we used new test map, which just connects everybody. I'm going to leave that in. I don't want to mess with this test function. Well, actually, hang on. I want to reevaluate that when we get done with the making things run and fixing what's broken real quick. We could do... Because we're going to need to do this a couple times over at the very least. I think... What we'll do... is just have a helper that will order the list, and then we can convert it. I don't want to just reproduce this function, though. Because I want to test this function. Yeah, I think we'll just do the conversion in the functions, but this ordering, the ordering we'll do here. That way, if we change the default order for some reason, also, it'll still use it because we'll use the same default exit print order variable here. So you're going to take a list of room exits come from the tiles exits. So those are room connections. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to look a lot like this. This is still... Okay, so... room connections, which are a map of coordinates cardinal... to connection. Do I want to... Hey, so I'm finishing lessons and learning and rewriting what I learned, but when it comes to build something from scratch, I kind of don't get how I'd be able to do it. So, you want to break it down into the simplest possible steps at first, right? And you can start making these steps bigger the more experienced you get. But let's do a quick Excalidraw. So, you have an idea for an app, let's say. And your app is let's say it's a fortune teller API, right? So you're going to have a front end. Okay, that's a problem for future you as to how to display this information. Let's build a back end first. You're going to have a back end. Okay. And you know some things about this, right? Just because of this, the design of this app, we're thinking about you're going to send a request to the server, and it's going to get you a random fortune. It's a Magic 8-Ball type thing, right? Let's just say. Okay? So, we know that we're going to have input into this thing. It needs to listen on some kind of an API route. So, maybe it's /fortune. Right? Whatever that is. Oh, there we go. And it's going to return some kind of data, right? So the very, very first thing I would do is this right here. You need to be able to get a request to an endpoint, and you need to be able to return some kind of data, right? Cool. So you can come in here and you can write hello world, right? And all it does for a start is it prints hello world. Great. You're up and running. Everything's working. Your project is set up correctly. Now do a basic HTTP server, right? Have it listen on this, set up your handler, and all your handler does is it's going to return hello world whenever you post to this endpoint, right? Cool. That's the basic scaffolding of your app, right? Then you can say, okay, I need to generate these fortunes that are random or whatever from my list, right? So you can hard code this list right here, and then you can have the function grab one and return it, right? Okay, cool. Now, this is going to suck. You don't want to hard code this, right? So then you just have to solve, how am I going to store this? How do I reach out to that? How do I do these things? And before you know it, suddenly you have the thing that you want. Now you could also, let's say you're not as comfortable, with this step right here. Maybe API endpoints are something you're not really familiar with, right? So you could do something like this first. If this is more comfortable and get you some more momentum, you can absolutely do this right here, right? No problem. Make it, instead of doing this part, make it, instead of writing hello world, make it return a random fortune that's hard-coded. And then add your database or whatever, and then have it return a random thing from that, right? And then you can do the HTTP stuff later. That's fine there, Mr. Kaiser. I don't give a shit. So yeah, and then you can build from there, right? So there's like a simple, really easy example. And over time, it'll become easier, and you'll be like, okay, yeah, just bang this together, bang that together, boom, I'm done, right? But you just you set a small goal and solve it as you go, basically. All right. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yes, I was figuring out what I wanted to do here. We can return this still, but we need the directions to come out of it still. Here we handled it like this. And I guess I could return a list of maps to put them into the correct order, at least, because a map's order is not guaranteed. Connections don't encode their direction in them. We could infer direction or calculate direction based on the destination. But then we'd have to know where we are and then do the destination. That would suck. It'd be confusing. So... yeah, I mean, a list of maps isn't great, but for a test, it's fine. So you're going to get a map of direction and cardinal, not direction. And pointers to connection. You're going to return a list of map. Is it coordinates? Did I think it is? Connection. Like so. Yeah. Because we're really just after getting them in the correct order, and then we can make decisions about what we want the desired data struct to look like. That's fine. And then, I don't care about the index. I go through here the same way. I don't care about the switchy switch here. Ooh, actually, maybe I do. Because I have to filter this if I don't. Okay, so I might as well filter it here. I might as well just take a pointer to a tile. In that case. And do the same thing. Room connections at the cardinal. If it has that entry, same deal. Then I, in my resulting data, which is a list of map yeah, that's fine. Oop. If you use the right words, it'll work better. So we append the result. This con, but I can't do that. I need to basically make a duplicate of it. Or I would have to loop multiple times. Either way sucks. I think this one... I think this way sucks just a little bit less. Neither one of them is brilliant for readability. Like, this is all just an awkward helper for a test that is avoiding, I don't need to do this. I can declare it directly. It's just avoiding mixing concerns in this test, basically. I don't know that I want to do that. I guess... let's not do that. Let's test this in a different way, because that just adds too much extra stuff that's really not great. It's not easy to read. And it duplicates work that we already do. And I think we can be more clever about this. And it might just look like examining this more carefully or more incrementally, we could do... could do something else. Hmm. It's gonna suck either way. And the sanest option might just be to look at get exit info and to use it. It's just, I hate doing that because if you have a bug in here, it'll agree here and that'll be a false negative. Things that take this guy 1 hour to... Okay, cool. That's nice. I don't know why you AI kids have to come to everybody's stream and go, oh, why aren't you using AI? Fuck you. That's why. I'm so tired of you people. Go generate your slop somewhere else. Goodbye. Let's see here. Yeah. AI ruined it. Bunch of slop codes produced. Most people don't even understand the fundamentals. Yeah, I mean, like, if you want to do that, I don't care. I'm not interested. You know? I guess that's not true. I care when I have to use your crap, and it sucks. Then I'm mad. But, like, you know what I do when I go and see a stream and somebody has cursor or whatever, the Claude or whatever on the screen? I don't fucking click on it, because I'm not interested. I don't go in there and go, you shouldn't be using AI. Like, I don't understand why people want to go click on things they're not interested in just to go and complain in chat. To say not using agents is not representative of modern software development is an indictment of modern software development, not of coding things with your brain. Okay, anywho. I was trying to figure out how I want to test this in the sanest way. We could put a test around it, but then I have to do the same thing anyway to make sure that it comes out the same. I guess, I mean, it's going to spit out... Because it's in the middle, we know that it's going to have all the cardinal directions. It's going to spit it out in order, so I guess we can check that. And then the connection data is the same. Okay, yeah. So we can still do this. I like this just because it is easier to parse in your brain the expected output, I think. Yeah. Game object, this being an list of them, and then we expect S character to be in there because we put him in that room. Description is the same thing. We can actually just copy this over. And then our... This is going to be trickier to just throw an expected on. Oh, actually, hang on. We might still be able to get away with an expected struct here. If we think about it a little bit more... What practice should I do to generate clean code? Don't worry about it so much. like I've read clean code. I've read like 1.5 of the books he wrote on it. There's good ideas in there, but it's not the be all end all. You should be worried about, can I read this? Does it make sense? You know, generally, you know, I try to follow keeping code to doing one thing where it makes sense, but I'm not going to split it up if it does two things. There's a lot to be said for locality behavior. Like, there's a lot that it's beneficial in that. So if it does two little things, I don't worry too much. Like, is it easy to read and maintain is kind of really the bigger thing, and that kind of comes with practice and just exposure and reading. Things I should maybe try and master to get good. Also, sorry for asking you too many questions. No, you're good. Really you just need to write more code. Like, you just need to keep building stuff. And you will start to kind of gain that experience of okay, an example. Right here, I'm going to great lengths to avoid just using this function I already wrote, right? Because experience has taught me that if I have a bug in here, and if my test uses this, even if I'm testing this, then my test using this is going to make my expected data wrong, which will give me a test that passes, even though there might be something broken in here, right? And you just kind of got to get bit by that, or happen to be here when I'm talking about it and you know, make me think that I should explain a little deeper on why I'm trying to do this. Like, that's where a lot of that stuff comes from, right? And people, there was a guy who used to come over on Twitch who would always make fun of me for my long functions in a good-natured way, right? Because clean code says they should be 10 lines long or whatever, and I've got some that are this one's a little bitty guy, but there's some pretty chunky functions in here. But Go is a verbose language. It's gonna be that way. Flutter is a verbose thing. A widget is going to be long. Linus of Linux kernel Linus has a thing about I think it was him. Somebody in that realm had a thing about levels of indentation, like more than 2 is bad or something like that. Like, yeah, it can be harder to read when there's more indentation, more nesting, right? Flutter is just going to make that impossible to follow, They write in C, Flutter's going to make things different. So, there's no hard and fast rules. But the best way to get good at writing code is just to write more code. And then you're going to write a bunch more code, and you're going to look at something you wrote like a month ago and go, good golly, I was an idiot. Why did I do this? And that's good. I live in fear of the day I don't do that. Because it means you've grown and you've learned more stuff, right? That's a good thing. But also don't fall into the trap of needing to refactor everything always. You're like, this is kind of ugly, but it works. Then let it be ugly and work. What really matters at the end of the day is, does your thing work good? And do people want it, right? Now, unless it's not a commercial thing, in which case, do you want it, right? Or did you enjoy building it? You got to be kind of clear about what is the reason I'm doing this, right? So, I kind of think of it like, you see it a lot in kind of every field. What's a good example? Like in art, or in high-end cooking or whatever, or even just video games. There are people that'll say, well, it's not X unless it's Y, right? This isn't traditional French cooking because you used butter, or you didn't use butter, or whatever, or this isn't impressionism because of this. This isn't pop music because of that. This isn't a roguelike because you didn't have these things, right? People get that way about code, too, where they're like, well, you didn't do my favorite thing, so it's crap. And you should be, drugged behind a horse or whatever. But, does it work? Is your game fun? Does it provide a good experience? Does your fortune-telling API make somebody chuckle? Does it make you happy? Did you enjoy building it? Does the product work well and make people money? That's the things that really matter. And they're interrelated, so if your crappy code base makes it harder to change things or fix bugs or catch bugs before they hit the user, then your code is crap, and that happens, right? But You sometimes have to do that. You know, we iterate a lot in software. We iterate in everything, really, as humans. You know, we try things, we keep the things that work, we do away with the things that don't. And, you know, learning and so this is another thing that makes me hate AI people, is they're always like, okay, well, yeah, you could generate that in 2 minutes. You didn't understand anything about it. You didn't know anything about how it was put together, really. So you'll never know where to go fix things when they break. They're going to regenerate it. That's what happens. You get code churn. But they didn't grow. They didn't learn. They spit out a thing. They slopped it onto the internet, and they're onto the next thing that they can slop out with no work and no thought and no effort, right? But like doing that and making those mistakes is kind of just how we have to learn. And it is slower. It would be good if you could read a book and learn everything you needed, but you just can't. Sometimes you don't even have context for why. And that gets missed a lot too in the discussion where, you know, people are like, well, clean code good or clean code bad. There's two camps, right? And people love to pick a side and fight to the death about it. But like, the things that he's trying to express in those books are things he learned from experience in a lot of cases, made life more difficult. There's too much nuance there to really make an judgment like that. There's good things about it, things I don't agree with about it, things I don't worry about it, things I try to consider about it. He was working in Java primarily. That has a big influence on what's going on, you know? So you kind of just got to make this unique soup of experience that is you and your approach and your thing. And as long as you can work well within a team, and like if there's a coding style that your team enforces, if you can follow that, it's going to be okay. It's all going to work out. Thank you again. I really like your advice and explanation. Yeah, absolutely. I try to, you know, there's a lot of tribalism and doom and gloom, and I try to just be a dude, you know? Okay, so we know what this order is going to be. We can actually just specify it, because we can see it. It's going to be north, and this will be our test, pardon me, test tile. Which will be a thing we need to just specify for our convenience here, which will be test map tile grid at 1, 1, right? And then here we can do test tile description. This will be test tile room connections coordinates north. Oh, that's gonna give me a transit table, because we gotta grab out of there this, right? Am I crazy? Test tile ID, room connections, coordinates north, test tile ID, type pointer to a connection, does not support indexing. I could do... could do a little helper for this. That would be way simpler. Oh, actually, hang on. I can do that. Yeah, this is gonna suck. We're gonna grab get connection, transit table. That's fine as a name. We're going to need to... We're going to need to do some stuff here. We need the ID. I don't really want to do the whole tile. So UUID, and then well, we do need the tile. It'll be simpler. So it's a tile, and then it's the cardinal that we want. And this will return me a transit. Let's call you from tile. Get transit by cardinal. Let's do that. So in here is where we'll just do T room connections at cardinal transit table at t.id, like so. That just keeps this brief. This is get transit by cardinal, T is the test tile, and then this is north, and then we get the description. Yeah. Okay. And then we should be northeast, right? Yes. Like so. This should be east. Oop. This should be southeast. This should be south. Oop. One day, I'm going to stop fat fingering the page down when I try to go to enter on this keyboard. This is going to be southwest. Today, however, not that day. Nope, west. Got all kinds spun around. So north, northeast, east, southeast, south, southwest, west, yeah, northwest. Okay. Perfect. And then what else goes into a room data here? That's it. Okay. So now we should be able to ditch this stuff here. And we can get our result. Oh, we didn't do a result yet. Actually, hang on. Let me rock that back right quick. There we go. This is going to be test tile, get room data, and this is going to be game events. Quick look event, right? Yes, good. Okay. Now, this should all be... Oh no. This is quick look. These guys shouldn't have descriptions on them. Damn it. That's okay. Because this guy is going to be exactly the same, Except for it will have the descriptions. I lost my result lines there. And then this will be verbose description. There we go. So these guys we can just ditch, but that's all right. I'm not mistaken. That should be a-okay. All right, get characters. Doesn't exist anymore, right? Occupants. Don't even... Notify occupants. Huh. Anywho, we don't even have a helper for this anymore. Because we can just reach in there and grab them if we need them, so I'm going to delete that test. Okay. That, in theory, should get us to where these tests will actually run again. We need to add some stuff, though, eventually. Let me just do a quick to-do. We're still using connect. Test notify occupants. We have remove occupant. Yeah. We want to make sure those work. We test leave an enter tile. We test get exit info indirectly. Because we don't test... we don't test spawning anybody. That would, I believe, test... my internet completely freaks out. Cool, love that. Big fan. Super, super awesome. I also think vibe coding is a great way to get into programming. No. Shouldn't be relied on. That's what most people confuse themselves with. You're not going to learn if you vibe code. You're not going to learn and retain anything. There was a study recently about that. The act of suffering through bashing your head against the wall is what will build your abilities, basically. And it used to be the same way with Stack Overflow copy pasta coding, right? You didn't learn stuff from copy pasting. You learned by reading the responses and seeing, like, sometimes you just got an answer, and then I always typed everything manually, because then you spend a little more time thinking and looking and whatnot. But the people that just copy paste, they're not going to retain stuff. And then you also, as in your reading of those answers, sometimes you find like graybeard wisdom, but you're also getting exposed to extra syntax around the problem. Like at the beginning, you don't even know what the right question to ask is yet, right? But by doing this research and hitting those dead ends, you're finding, oh, some over here somebody mentioned, I don't know, what's a good example? Like if you're if you're first stepping into the realm of networking stuff, and you're like, okay, well, my code doesn't respond or whatever, right? And somebody's going to ask you, well, what port is it listening on? And you're like, oh, I don't know what a port is, right? Then you can start learning. You go, oh, okay, well, how do I determine what port a thing is listening on? Where do I set that, and then you unlock extra syntax around the problem domain in your own knowledge, and you don't get that if you just that's a trivial example, but you don't get that same experience if you just got the bot feeding you crap. I didn't mean learning with vibe coding. I mean in the sense of someone with zero idea about computers. Personally, you never use AI and hate people that mentions vibe coding. I mean, like, maybe. I don't really see that pipeline too much, though. Like, I have yet to see that many people say, well, I vibe coded this thing and it's super broken, so now I'm learning and becoming a good developer. I'm sure it exists. It seems like the pipeline is, I don't know anything about coding, I vibe code some crap, I become that guy who goes around saying vibe coding is the future and you're all going to be out of a job in 6 months. And then I don't know what they do from there. Because, like, honestly, as with all things, learning is suffering and hard, and it's a lot of work. Like, that's true of learning to play an instrument. It's true of learning to code. Anything that takes a degree of mastery, Going to the gym sucks. It's hard. Doing stuff is hard, And I think a lot of the appeal of the chatbot is the guys that are like, well, AI says this, because then they get to participate in the conversation, but they didn't have to go through any effort to do any learning, right? Okay, yeah. We were going to run some tests. That's what we're going to do. So we need to place test for place character at point. Remove occupant we indirectly test through leaving and entering, which we test via moving. So I think I'm okay with that. And I could just generate a cover report and answer these questions, but that's okay. All right. Everything's broken. Excellent. Character ID may not be nil. Oh, that's right. I do nil check that. True, learning is suffering. I was angry about something in Golang I couldn't understand, so I decided to take a shower and get back to it. Yeah, I mean, taking a break is super valuable. You know, and it takes time too. Like, you have to. Sometimes you need the context around the problem that you're trying to understand to really actually absorb anything about it too. That's one of the things I found. Like, I hate computer science textbooks. I hated computer science classes because they never like they explain everything in hyper specific, I want to sound very smart terms like dependency injection and all this other stuff. And they don't just explain in simple terms what it is, what it's good for, why you want to use it. And it's only after you ram your head into that problem and understand it at a level where you understand the pain and the suffering that you can then come back to it and actually absorb what the hell they're talking about and understand the point they're trying to make in the first place. So sometimes the only way out is through, but like, yeah, take a walk. Super helpful to just breathe for a minute. Let your subconscious chew on a problem. Sometimes you get the answers, you know, you wake up with the answer or at least a list of things to try. Other times you're in the middle of the shower, middle of dinner, and you're like, ah, I have an idea. Okay. So my ID is a problem. Oh, but I fixed that. I just didn't consume it, right? So we're good. I just need to go consume all the things I did. Specifically, being able to create a new character here. And I suspect his character at point, yeah. I suspect my names are roughly the same. Description shouldn't matter. When it comes to AI, yeah, it has some value, but I always think of Malcolm in Jurassic Park. It didn't require any discipline to attain it. I don't remember that quote. But yeah, I mean, kind of. It's casual. It's not even understanding. It's, you know, it's being able to it's the appearance of something, you know? It's the appearance of accomplishment, I guess. Without any actual competence or effort, and the expertise that is gained by the effort. Let's get that. Oh, that's right. It's it's like where was I going with that? I had a point and then I lost it, or a good analogy, and then I lost it because I was distracted with my Copy pasting of my helpers. Okay. What's panicking? Oh, move by invisible exit. Valid address or nil pointer. Notify. Notify occupant. Game map. Notify occupant. Game map test right here. Place them at point. This returns a pointer. Coordinates new 0, 0. Oh, that's what I was going with. It's like Primogen always used to say, like, typing was never the bottleneck or something to that effect, right? Like, you know, people get on Twitter like, well, I generate 1,000 lines of code a day. Well, that's awful, you know? Like, more code is not the problem. That's not the issue at all. Forgot to turn that onto mute, eh? And even if it's something that, you know, people are quick to say, well, I generate boilerplate only or something like that, you know. Even if it's something you understand and you've done it 1,000 times, there's still value in spending that time kind of sitting with the problem. Because as you're doing it again, you're going to be thinking about, like, the future of that thing. So you're typing your HTTP handler. You probably have to go look it up because you don't even remember the thing anymore. But you're remembering, you know, the last time I did this, this thing came up and it kind of sucked. Is there a better way that I could do it this time? You know, that sort of thing. And you're sitting there thinking about, well, do I even want this endpoint for this particular project? Do I want something else? Could I do this in a different way that'd be nicer to use? You're kind of, I call it sitting with the problem. So even if you're not actively like just chewing as hard as your brain can on this particular issue to solve this super critical problem, even if you're just doing something basic like adding logging, you're sitting with the problem, you're having thoughts about the project, things are going to rattle around up there, you're going to get new ideas. Maybe they're good, maybe they suck, but you're having them, you know? 100% lines of code a day is the dumbest thing. How did it make a comeback is beyond me. Yeah, but because nobody that's in this space is actually doing anything software engineering-y or software developer-y. Like, it's grift and it's paid advertisement, right? Like, these people are either in the field because they never liked it, but they could make a lot of money gluing CRUD apps together with 1,000 NPM libraries, or they're paid to say it, right? You ever notice that as soon as you get a new image generation or video generation thing, suddenly there's 1,000 people. They're like, oh, Hollywood's cooked. I generated this thing, which looks bad, by the way, for 27 cents. And then suddenly they go away after like a week. They're all fucking paid. Like, it's advertising. I mostly use AI on boot dev. If you're familiar with it, I've heard of it. Mostly for giving me an interview scenario or explaining a question I have. But making AI to do a task you should do manually isn't great usage. Yeah. Yeah, I'm familiar with boot.dev. I haven't really. I think I watched part of a course on there, but I struggle with video courses in general as a learning method. I don't get a lot from them. I need to put my paws on things and muck around and break stuff. But I think we're starting to find out. You know, AWS just released a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, a big, announcement that, oh, hey, yeah, our outages were our AI crap decided that the way to fix it was to delete it all, and we're putting more guardrails in place. So they're going to make their seniors review changes. So now they got their senior guys, held hostage reading code nobody wanted to write. So I'm sure that'll go well, and they won't, get bored and miserable and LGTM it out the door. Microsoft is backing off on their Copilot crap because people hate it. Like, it doesn't do most of the stuff people say it does. And it does not produce good work. Like, it produces crap. And anybody who says otherwise is lying or trying to sell you something at this point, is where my brain basically has concluded. And all of the grift and the hype and the nonsense, and it's all just made me so disgusted by it that I don't even care or want to engage with it at all. I would rather block the guy in here saying it's not representative of modern software development than deal with it. I just don't care. I saw juniors and it was you and Kiro, and seniors are reviewing the slop change. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I was trying to track this down. That's what I was doing. So, you're a character, you've been placed at a point, and then when I try to notify you, I panic. And it happens in here. You have no manager. Shit. That's a big problem. Very big problem. That sucks. Okay. I do want to get that out of there too. But the other options for getting these messages into the log kind of suck. I can't reach in and modify this from the outside either. Nor can I just fake a manager with a log. Because it needs other things. We could do an instance of the logger on the character isn't the end of the world. Is it fine if I record some clips from the stream so I can save it on my disc and rewatch it from time to time? Yeah, sure. The problem is, so if we create an instance on each of them of a logger, which is probably fine. I don't see a reason why that'd be horrible. Then we have to make sure that we give them that every time we create a new object. Which is fine in the create character, but it's probably fine. Alright, we should have done this before, and it's gonna be a thing we need to tackle. I guess now is the day. Manager has a log. I don't think I want to base it off of that, though, because otherwise I'm going to wind up in the exact same problem right over again. So basically here in new character, we need to... I guess first I need to give character a log. Put it down here with the other kind of utility things. Like so. I don't have a new character in here, do I? I think I do. Put it in manager, because everything should go through manager for that kind of thing. Log is new, not logins, logging. New logger, its name can be character and then a string, which will be the character ID. Except if I'm going to do that, I need to do that, and do that, and do that. Like so. And on unstow, convert internal to character, I need to make sure that your log gets created. But this is going to be character's engine ID. Okay, and then over here, I'm going to replace all of manager.log with .log. YOLO. Oh no! Gotta undo that. Undo that. Just with log. Because otherwise I get double periods. There we go. Okay. That should address this panic. Okay, perfect. Okay, we need to take a look at this stuff here, but we're making progress now. And then we need to fix that nil character ID for both of them. Okay. Let's do... I need to make sure that I didn't just screw anything up here. Looks like I did. Because... the logger is in there now. Mm-hmm. And I really don't want to put a logger on the message bus. I really, really don't. So what I'm going to do... Actually, hang on. I have an idea. Instead of arbitrarily creating this in new character, what if I make it an argument? Oh, but then it doesn't have... But... if I just do that? Then... that becomes way easier to deal with. Oh, no, you go away. I'm gonna cut you, though, because I'm gonna need you. That way, we can test easier. Create a new character here in create character. Can be new ID. Or let's call you character ID, how about? And then character logger. We can set you up that way. And then character ID, first name, last name, character logger. That should be the only place that gets used in there. It's gonna make this all broken again, but that's fine. Okay, so then... in here, we can do our... oh, except for you. That's all still fine. That's not gonna solve this problem, though, because it passes through this, which does other stuff to it. Which... kind of sucks, but it's fine. We can just set that, and then we do this for other things that get set not from the outside, but with internal. um, stuff. That'll get me there. Convert internal to character. That's fine. So here, I need to do this on the other one as well. We're gonna say, converted character has no logger. And then we're gonna nil it specifically so that we can say that we're gonna compare the rest of the fields. And the same thing is going to be a problem here. Test ID is that. This should be wrong anyway. This sucks, but I don't want to go compare it if I can avoid it. Because it has issues with some of my fields, and I forget exactly which ones, in converting them between, or in comparing them rather. I wish I could remember the issue specifically. There was something I ran into that made me pull it out. Anywho. Level 99. Last location is 00. Current is 35. Tags are correct. Current HP. It's going to be logger. It's got to be. Roller nil. Message broker nil. Log is a thing. Yeah, log's nil. Okay. But this is internal to character, which I thought... Oh, yeah, it does have wanted. Right. Okay. Duh. Same exact problem, just in the other direction. So result log. If that's nil, it's an error that says converted character logger was not set. And then we can just nil it. Okay, that'll get those passing, and that should also apply to character itself, which I don't have open. Okay, yeah. That should have run, because they're on the same package, it should have run everything, but I just wanted to be sure. Okay, let's break that up because that is a change. It's a thing. I want to try to keep my history kind of organized. So we're going to add internal character manager test. It should just be all of them. We'll do a commit just for that. Move the use of the manager's logger in character makes testing character harder because any log attempt would cause a panic if we didn't actually have a manager. It's a good example of kind of finding... So normally, my objects are less complex, right? And there's less discrete modules in most of the things I've done in Go. So we're kind of finding that there's a pitfall to fall into here, where we knew just by other experiences that the more stuff that you have to rely on being in an object and the more nested they get, the harder they get to test, right? Usually it's easier to mock them, but in this case, because these things do so much that's so different, mocking a manager is very hard. You need a full config for it, because it has to work with a database, and it can't talk to a database. You got problems. It's going to panic, right? So in order to mock a character or to create a character object that's testable, it would need a manager that needs to have a database. So now you're like 3 different levels of mocking if you want to test the actual things, which we do wherever possible wish to do in our testing. If they overlap on testing a little bit, that's fine with me, right? But when these things have grown to this level of complexity, where they have a database of their own they interact with, or not really a database, but a table, and we're trying to test shared objects, which again didn't used to be shared, right? So the design has changed a little bit due to other requirements which are exposing this issue. We're learning things, right? And I knew it wasn't great to have the manager pointer in there. I'm pretty sure I complained about when I put it in there that this was probably a bad idea, but we're experiencing this pain. So in the future, we're going to be more vigilant for this sort of an issue, where we're going to say, look, this object is starting to get complicated. Other things that rely on it or are embedded in it or vice versa are going to get a lot harder to test. Maybe we should stop and reconsider, right? This is a thing you will only learn truly if you experience the pain. All right, so that should now be less painful. We still need to pull, and I'm pretty sure I have a to-do about it, but we need to pull that manager out of there if in any way we can, and make them more independent. We need to go fix these guys really quick. So we're going to do let's do that. Actually, I don't need to do that. For this, I don't care about his ID. I just need him to be there. Like so. That can still be him. That's fine. ID. Logger. Same deal. ID. Logger. ID. Logger. This is where we start to get two of you. We can do that, which will make this wrong, but oops. We can correct it like so. Oh my gosh, I put you in the wrong place. What a fool. There we go. And I believe that we use the same names, so we can actually just swappy. Like so. Okay. What else we got in here? This guy is going to need to use the create. And then he can update the location. That's fine. Grab you. Like so. We'll swap you. Get rid of that. That. Like so. We copy pasted a lot of that block because it's all the same, so we can copy paste this block and have everything be happy. Alright, now. Okay, so we got no notifications happening here. But we don't have panics. Quick look event occupants description. This is long description. Did I forget to... Verbose in my expected. I did not pass look event here, though. That's fine. Okay. That's good. Exits north. Description on obvious exits. Northeast, east, southeast. Southeast, south, southwest, west, northeast. Oh. No, northwest. I just can't read. Have you ever considered doing code review reaction videos? I know it's a lot of slop to wade through, but someone I watch occasionally is the Cherno in C++, for example. I don't see a lot of this for Go. I hadn't actually. I think I've heard of the Cherno. I think the name sounds familiar. I don't. I watch a lot less coding YouTube now. Your take on the complexity of a struct for a test was insightful and literally just helped me with what I'm working on right now. Awesome. I'm glad. Maybe I'll... Where's my notepad? It was insight I gained immediately, just right now, like literally now, as I suffered from my own past decisions. So I'm glad my suffering was beneficial. Let's see here. That was actually done. I need to update my list here. I'm just going to jot a note. That's what I'll do. Code review videos, question mark, the Cherno. And that's okay. So let's talk about that, because that's interesting too. So that's one of the things that proponents of TDD say that you get for free by doing TDD, right? Now, I don't strictly stick to TDD. I do a lot of it, actually, because I agree with them in that regard. But in other cases, you kind of sometimes just have to like noodle through what you're doing. And in this case, I've just completely refactored everything, and I needed to figure out that refactoring before I really knew what I wanted to test about it, right? In a perfect world, this is a non-breaking refactor. My tests are still fine. But because I really just changed the architecture of this thing, it's all a crapshoot, right? So I had to noodle through the changes I wanted to make, and now I'm going back and doing the testing. And I think that's still a valid approach and answer, you know. TDD purists might not like that so much. They'd probably crucify me, because, you know, that's just where we are in the world now, is everything has to be a tribalist battle over everything. And we can't just, like, you know, respectfully disagree. But, you know, the example of how I have amalgamated my own soup of approaches and things I find useful and value in, you know? Which is technically the true agile, right? Okay, so what happened? Let's just start back here. Source type, that right there. I forgot to change this. That happens when you copy paste. Like, you get copy paste errors, but I find that having the test look the same is worth that occasional stumbling block. And I find a discrete test easier to read and reason about and figure out the failures than table-driven tests in most cases. Sometimes it just makes a ton of sense to do a table, and you just gotta deal with it. But, like, more often, I find discrete tests better. But that's me, my preferences. Okay, so what we're going to do here, I think, is a commit, because we have restored the ability to run the test. We still got some failures to chase down, but game map test, tile test, yes. Restore game map packages, or package tests to runnable. Okay. Do you think the fastest way to learn is to teach other? Also, are you going to make short form videos in the future or content? So it's complicated. Yes, there's a ton of value in teaching. A ton. I don't think I'm a super good teacher, though, so that's tricky, right? And, you know, there's a line where you need to know what you're doing well enough to teach it effectively. Otherwise, it's kind of the blind leading the blind. And that's really hard to figure out, at least for me. I've always struggled to know, like, am I even qualified to teach this? It's really hard because there's so much in the world of programming, and there's so much stuff that I'm completely ignorant of, right? Like, my math skills are rudimentary at best, you know? And so, you know, like game dev stuff, it starts to get into some shaky territory for me where I'm like, I need to go learn some math here. So it's hard. But when I do, like, I felt relatively qualified to make a basic tutorial on HTTP endpoints, right? But even in making that, it really made me stop and think, okay, what is the clearest way to communicate this? And then, is this thing that I've always believed to be true actually verifiably true? And I tried to catch those things. And for the most part, yes. You know, but kind of putting it under that scrutiny and that lens of scrutiny is really valuable too. But yeah, it's tricky and complicated, as with most things, right? As to making short form videos in the future or content, it's also tricky. I hate shorts in general. Like, with very rare exception, I don't like short form content, and I haven't liked it since the Vine days, but I should make some. The problem is that that's time that I'm spending not here writing code. And also my connection has decided to start dropping frames. But yeah. There it goes. So it's time I'm spending not here writing code or working on the other project that I'm trying to get to a stage that I can share. So it's a time thing, because then I have to go through and try to extract clips that are worth looking at. It's hard. And as for content, kind of the same boat, where it takes like an hour per, I think it was like an hour per minute of edited content just for the video editing. It's really close. So it's a time thing more so. And on top of the editing part, there's also the recording it. And so if you screw up and you need to reorder things, you basically have to re-record everything. And it's hard to get together all of the things you need to put in, get them all squared away. It's a ton of work, really, is what it is. And that, again, is time I'm not spending working on this and streaming it. So, like, I want to, I just gotta figure out how I'm gonna do it, basically. I mean, not shorts, but just videos overall, you know, or it could just be snippets of live streams, same as how Primogen does it. Yeah, he's got an editor. He's got Flip. And I don't have money for Flips. And I'm pretty sure he's had Flip for like a long time. I haven't, I'm not an OG Primogen viewer. But yeah, it's a time and bandwidth thing. And like, there's only so many hours in a day that I can grind on stuff before I'm just like, man, I gotta do something else. But I want to, like, the short-term plan is that I want to get this other project to where I can share it and then stream more. My internet connection cooperating with me has been a challenge lately, but it's also a part of that. But yeah, I gotta figure out how I want to make it work. And it's close, I think. I think I'm almost done with the stuff that involves authentication and stuff. I'm close. We'll see. I've been hoping and thinking that the next week is the week of doing it for like the past 3 weeks. Because everything just takes longer than you expect. Always, you know? Get what you mean? Yeah. Like, if I was making money on the stream enough to pay the bills and hire an editor, I would absolutely do that. Like, right away. I don't. I've made like, in a year, I think I've made $100, which is, I mean, that's awesome. It's $100 more than I thought I'd ever make, but it don't pay for anything. I'm actually not even monetized on YouTube yet, which is, I mean, understandable because I am in a tiny niche, you know, the niche of people who still care about programming with your fingers and your brain, and also I work on a game format that nobody cares about, you know. So like me, I find this super educational. I've learned so much since I started it, and it's fun, but not a big draw, you know. Okay. Why do I not get notification? I do a move. Oh, is it because my current location is 5? Well, yeah, I should get notifications either way. But it also doesn't time out like I thought it would. 269. Get character notifications. I want to double check. I don't listen to the notifications here. Okay. This feels a little bit sus. And it's because I forgot to loop here. Like so. It ran through one time, said, I'm done. Now we got to make sure. So we return there, we return here. I think we're good. That's too long. We're not getting our results. But we're looping. Yeah, we timed out there. I'm 100% sure. No character notifications returned. But we didn't time out. True. I mean, even for Go creation or content creation, the views are low. For example, Melky Dipper, Anthony GG, most are just moving to reacting to news, etc., and corpse updates. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't really want to become a React guy, like, in either sense of the word. I don't... Personally, I find that to be less interesting in most cases than people building stuff. But that's... I'm a co-working stream, basically, where people like to work on projects with me in the background, and I'm totally cool with that. Love all my lurkers. And, you know, we can have chats and just hang out and have a really good afternoon, and people can come and go and get stuff done. I love that. That's super awesome to me. And that's kind of the way I mostly consume Twitch, too, or YouTube live streams, is they go on in the background while I do other things. And I've actually... I've talked about it before, but there was... I wanted to go back and review a video because I wanted to make sure that I didn't just dox myself with a thing that came up on the screen. And I didn't, but I had to go check after the stream because I was like, man, I really hope that didn't pop up where I thought it might have for a second with my email address. And but I put it on and I kind of found like the general area, and I had to wait for a couple minutes to get to where it was. And then I checked it. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm good. And I went to do something else really quick, got distracted, and found that I was like working along with myself for, I don't know, like half an hour. I was like, that feels really weird, but also I'm doing it right. At least for my taste, right? It just felt awkward. Okay, so you went the full 10 seconds, but you didn't get a error? Did I forget to check the error? No. Timeout awaiting didn't happen. Time is now after timeout. Then you return with the error set. Oh, did I forget? That's an interface. I can't do that. I was kind of afraid of that. But this also might need to be a pointer. That I dereference here. I thought that passing it would be fine. Because it's just a handle on that channel. But, and actually maybe it is. Maybe it is fine. Hang on. Let's back that up just 1 second. And instead of doing that, we're going to do this. Print it, results found, all results found. And here, one result found. And then here, timeout. That way we can actually get a better idea of what exactly is happening in here. Nothing. Nothing printed at all. Is that because I put you in a Go routine? Okay. And if we go back to using a pointer here, that we have to deref. I'm going to pass that. Like so. Then I have to deref that. Ugh. Yeah, I don't. This is going to become a mess. I was afraid of that happening, but Such is life. Okay, so here's what we're going to do instead. We're going to take that out. We're going to take this out. We're going to take that out. That stays. I really don't think that needs to be that way. That comes out as well. Thanks, brother. I'll go and keep the stream in the background. I'm practicing function return variation at the moment. Cool. Right on. Good luck. Have fun. Build something awesome. So, well, that stays as the thing we create inside of here. We're going to create you, and you still need to be a list of interface. You still need to append to you. And we're going to return instead of this. We're going to handle the Go retaining in a different way. Oops, that's not the correct syntax. I'm going to return a list of interface here and an error. Okay. Get that out of there. You return results nil here. Here, turn nil errors new. Like so. Okay. And then up here, we're going to go funkia. Like so. This comes out of here. We still add. I'm going to defer the done up here. Timeout, character channel. We don't need results. We don't need error. We do need the count still. Like so. Error. That. If error is not nil, then oh, we didn't even do that correctly. Error awaiting character notifications. And that'll tell us if it was a timeout truly or not. Okay. And then I don't need that. Oh, right. I forgot about that. We can't call that in there. That's fine. That's why we were doing this. That's still okay. Alright, let's see if I can run just this one and get anything out of it. Too many arguments and call to get... Oh, right. Damn it. Okay. This block. Forgot. I forgot that it won't compile because we changed that. You, and this is going to be char 1 results. Yeah. We've already declared you. We've already declared that. I don't need it. We've already declared that. I don't need it. Okay, perfect. This is char 1 results. char1 errors. It should just be error, but you know, that's fine. And then you are char1 channel, like so. Okay, perfect. Basically, we just duplicate this for, and it's only supposed to be one. Right? Should have checked. One, yeah. And then one. Because it's room look, yeah. Okay. This is chart 2. Chart 2. Chart 2. Perfect. And I should be able to duplicate this into the others, I think. We just got to be careful about the count. So this is still ones. That's good. This is still ones. This is still ones. Alright. Alright. Now, run just the one for me, please. Give me some answers. Still don't get... Invalid current location 55. Okay. So we got that from... That was sent to the character? Invalid current location. Did I make a mistake? Probably. Ah, not in look, in move. That should return here. Oh! I logged the wrong thing. You dummy. Go make sure I didn't screw the pooch on that. Other places rather. I did. That would have been annoying to try to track down. Oh, not channel, error. Wait, no. I was in the wrong place. Here we go. Those are error because they're setting up the channels. You read the words before you just go changing stuff, you know? It helps. It'll make your life easier. Here's the errors. There we go. Okay. That'll fix that for the future. And then timeout. Okay, so we waited and we got nothing. We should be Back up here. Wrong town recovery. So... Actually, that is an interesting point. Okay, yeah, we did get our error back here, but it didn't actually, because it returned there, it didn't engage this. That's right. So that's a problem. This needs to engage our rescue logic. So that's where the flaw lies here. Let's come back to this one. The room looks should be working now, right? Theoretically. Because they are not intentionally being put in the wrong location. But we're timing out there as well. Why would we be doing that? And I don't get my timeout printing, and I think that's because it's on another thread. Let's just take that out. It's not really... I don't really care about that too much. I do, though, want to know... for sure that nothing came back in the results list, because we stopped here at the errors. Figure out where my issues were. Okay, so character 1 results nil and nil. Okay. What if temporarily we put this in? See if we can figure out where I have done something dumb. Click the wrong button. Okay, so that passes if I take that out. So this is where my issue lies. Found timestamp, add 500 milliseconds, it returns. I wonder... Let's call this a different thing and then try to do it a little differently because it'll be easier to think about. Let's call it extra result timeout. It's a time. Extra result timeout. We're going to make this... This should happen one at a time, so that should be fine. Add that. Then... that. Okay. Cannot use time now. Type time as type. Oh. Bleh. Type the right words. It helps. Okay. That's going to be easier to think about. So. And we're going to be able to reproduce the same issue where it doesn't actually return. And it's got to be... The length of the results is equal to expected result count, which is 1. And you time out. You don't ever engage here. Which makes me think this is getting reset each time. Like, this is not correct right here. Zero value of type time is January 1st, year 1. So, should be 0. I don't think I can get this to debug here because it's in a Go routine. I can, okay. So that's there. That gets set. We go back. Oh, it's because there's never any more messages. Oh, damn it. Okay. This never gets engaged. We set this. So we need to come into here. So as soon as we stop getting messages, we come into here, we say, hey, if you're after this, and we say, if you're not 0, and if it's after the timeout that is not 0, return. Otherwise, make sure we're not after our hard timeout, and then sleep. Okay. There we go. Stupid located. As usual, the problem lies in the chair, not in the computer. Okay, perfect. This is still going to fail. It's still going to time out because we exited here instead of doing recovery. But these others... Uh-oh, that's going to be a timeout. Okay. Okay, this, I didn't account for the quotation marks I put around things. That's easy enough to fix. Character not in room. Oh, wrong one. Hang on. This one. Because in tile, nope, in-game map, where we do the look, we did why did I write twice there? That was silly. But there we go. And we do that. This one I still need to track down. Okay, so we're down to two trubs. Let's look at you because getting notifications from second and first. Okay. What happened there? We do a look. We send the look event from test car. They both timed out. Did I set your... We put you both at 0, 0. That's been empty like the last 3 times I've tried to drink it. Put that over there. Hmm. Hmm. Why would you be timing out? Test map look event, source. Get him from the source. That's a pointer now, that should be fine. Target tags is nothing. We never checked our error here. Error doing, or error handling look event. I bet I did something stupid there. Just run you. Yep, okay. Invalid target type, UUID for look event. Must be a list of string. That's what I forgot to do. I forgot to put his ID in there. But hang on. When we do a look in... When we generate that event in character... No. Yeah. Look. Tag list. Yes. Okay. And nothing currently, I don't think, actually generates an ID for us. And then it passes. Perfect. Okay. Stupid has been cured. Nothing generates that currently, but there's no reason it couldn't do it. But we still have to pass it as a list of strings. The move function only takes a periodic list of strings. So let's go ahead and add this to the commit, because we've got a bunch of stuff. Fix the character message helper. We'll go routine it a different way. Fix the broken tests except for room move or invalid move. That's fine, because we're going to have to do a little bit more for invalid move because of that error. We have to do a little bit of noodling here first. But I need to use the restroom and replace that beverage that's been broken. So I'll be right back. There we go. That's better. Okie dokie. So, instead of an error in the move, invalid current location. Because that is not helpful to somebody who has wound up there somehow. Like maybe they logged off there, we did an update, and now they're not in a room that got moved or something. Like, we want to avoid that as a thing in general, but we want to also make sure that if it happens, people can play. That we rescue them, and we should treat it as a bug that we need to track down, but we want them to get back to the game. so that their evening, afternoon, whatever isn't ruined. And I was toying with the idea of pulling out the recovery as well, I think. So that it could be triggered multiple places. So... character leave tile from current tile, but in order to find the current tile, it has to be in... I see my problem. Is there any other... removing occupant? Yeah, okay. So... they would have to think that they're in a tile that they're not actually in, which is true. But... we can't really get there. That's a problem. We would have to say... okay, we can fake this, but... we would need to also still handle the case that I'm in currently. So... we told them they're at 5-5. We put them at 0-0. We would need them to actually think they're at like 2-1. Incorrect room. Something weird happened. This should, I think, now pass. This is gonna fail. Oh, wait. Hang on. We need to fix this as well. Right here. Because this won't be correct. That's going to happen. Okay? And I think that should be happening right now. It is. Okay. Perfect. Database disconnect. What? Message database disconnected. That's interesting. Oh, is that my cleanup? Maybe that's my graceful shutdown. It's after the test, though. I was in the wrong place. This is where I need to be. Okay, so invalid current location. Why is that not? If I made you... because that is the size, not the coordinates. There we go. Character is not present at 1-0 recovering. Okay. And then this was returned as an error? Error moving character. This should not be an error return. This should be this should be a warning. Like so. Like that. It's an error if we failed, so that's good. Okay. This is too long. Expected 3 elements, but we find ourselves, so we got our recovery. Invalid movement type message. A mysterious puff of smoke. Okay, so we got this 3 times? Okay, place character at point. So we got our error that our log from tile, character's not present. Cool, error removing characters. That happened twice. Okay, so we got our first error. We notified them of the we are lost. That's cool. We place them at point. Enter tile, notify occupants. Append. Their location is the location. We send them a look. And we return in here after doing so. Why did we send 3 move notifications? Leave tile. Remove occupant. Okay. We notify that you are lost. We set the last location. Ah. Error recovering. Because we use target location is the last location. If that's invalid, we use the recovery coordinates, which should be 0, 0. We failed to place them at point 0, 0. Character's not present. I only did 1 move, right? Yeah. Place the character at the point. You make sure it's valid. Character enter tile. We give it the location, which we set to last location. And if that's not valid, we set it to recovery coordinates. Oh. That's a mistake. That shouldn't matter, though. This should also be point in map bounds, or point in map bounds m.tilegrid target location. That way, if you have the last location is wrong or whatever, then you get the recovery, which is 0, 0. Okay, but let's do character ID. This should be, this got changed from current tile. This should be also changed to a recovering character to target tile. Whatever the target was. And then just do error. Like that. So, error moving character, good. He's not there. Error removing character from tile. Character's not present. Okay. But why? It's because I logged twice. That's why I'm confused here. So when I leave, remove occupant, that returns. That doesn't log, it just returns. All source test map package. Okay. Oh, right. This comes from here. Okay, duh. Error moving character, error removing character from tile. Okay. That's this one. Error moving. This needs to be that, so that we can actually read it better. So it says, hey, I had an error, I'm attempting to recover. And then test map package, error moving. This, I'm just going to have it print our error. Well, no, that wouldn't be it, would it? Because it shouldn't be getting here. Put you back. On one, please. Why does it log twice? Alright, hang on. I gotta debug. Something going on here. It's wonky. It's because can transit never gets triggered? No. Can't be. Oh, current. Oh, did I just? Yeah, you should have been 0. My bad. Okay. So, we try to leave, and let's just double check. Okay. We get our error, we log it, we send a notification to them that says you're lost, right? Cool. Perfect. We figure out where they're going to be. In this case, it'll be 0, 0. We're going to put them at target location 0, 0 with the default message. Cool. There's no error. There's an error moving. We're recovering. We return. We're done. There's no error. And we have an error recover or waiting because I timed out. Ah, this. Error moving character or error moving whatever it was. That's where my duplicate is coming from. Okay. Let's, instead of this, say character 2 and if we spell it correctly it'll be nicer. So character, and this is our char ID, recovered to target location pretty. Well, that wasn't completing. There we go. So that we get a nice output. Okay. Error moving character to, from tile. It's not present. We got our error. We said character was recovered to 0, 0. Okay, perfect. Third notification type. Wanted a look result, but we got a move notification. All right. That explains that. We fixed a thing that's hard to read. Made it less so. So we get a lost, and we should get a move. Invalid movement type message in a mysterious puff of smoke. So we still get our multiple issues. And it's because We never actually moved him out in our test. He's still in there. Ah. We do have to think about that. We have 2 references to him now. Whoops. So we have to make sure that we go figure out, first and foremost, we have to go through the map if we do that. Which is fine, I just... Default rescue leave message will be the same message for now, but we'll change it later probably. Okay, so we've had an error. We're attempting to recover them. We send them, hey, my dude, you're lost. We're going to try their last location. If that's not cool, then we'll set that. Maybe this might be folly in general. Hi there, Mr. Mongoose. How is the Great Refactoring War of 2026 going along? It's going all right. I think we're pretty close to done with the map refactor. I've just stumbled upon a mistake that I have made. I do think I need to do this, though. Basically, I need to go look any other instances of this character on the map. Remove them if found. Right? Okay. And we should have... Yeah, we have remove character from map. That only takes the current location. Which is fine. I think we're just going to directly remove you, though. Now, we can reach in and grab his location. So. We're just going to do a classic. I don't need to do that. This is M tile grid length I++. J is less than the length of M tile grid at I, J++. little nested ij loop here, and we're gonna say if tile grid at ij occupants. Ooh, and then I got to go through that, don't I? So of this. If occupant ID is equal to this character's ID, then glad yours progressed nicely. Yeah. How about you? How's your project going? Liked your explanation at the beginning of the stream about how to tackle building systems. Oh, good, good, yeah. Little chunks. That's my approach anyway. Little chunks. Break it down and eat the elephant one bite at a time. Oh, camera. Now you do this? I fix. Okay. There we go. Okay. So is not. Did we implement equality in our coordinates? I don't think we did because... Oh, we did? Okay. Cool. It's just a function. Current location and I don't think I can do... I do have a location in you. Okay, perfect. If these are not equal... then I'm going to make them equal. And then I'm going to remove character from map, occupant, with the default rescue leave message. Okay. That should return an error. We really want to have some issues here, but unfortunately I haven't had time to play with my pet project, too much work obligations. That sucks. It do be like that sometimes. Especially when, you know, bean counters get involved and it's either everything works, what do we pay you all for, or nothing works, what do we pay you all for, right? Actually, hang on, I'm going to jot down a note. Ba-ba-ba-bum. Let's see here. There we go. Little work for future me. Camera? Seriously? Again? Just work? Why don't you? Good description of the situation? Yeah, might have been there before. You there. Yes. Behave, camera. Okay. Yeah. The first of those situations usually leads to the second. Funny enough how that works. So, I don't want to return here, though. I want to keep trying to pull them out. But at the same time, like, they're just broken. And there should be no reason, really, for this to fail. I'm going to log here. I agree. Funny how it works, right? I hate logging and continuing here because we're going to be in a broken state, but also panicking doesn't really serve us any good. Like, it should never happen, but... we're going to do error removing a lost character from... And we're going to do the point. And then we're going to do the error we got. Map state is inconsistent. Exclamation point. Okay, this is going to be our M tile grid at I, J, location. Whoa, what happened there? Tile grid at I, J, dot, location. There we go. And this will be error. This should not happen. It's very bad if it does. Okay. So we're going to go through the whole map, yank any duplicates of you out. And actually... Yeah, that's fine. Because we yank you out before we notify. So anybody else will see you get yanked. And then after that, then we can place them at the point with our place message. Okay? Let's run that. And that makes it pass. We're happy, meow. But I'm going to want to duplicate this test, basically. Except... wrong tile recovery, invalid room starting point. Right? Or rather, how about invalid or from invalid room? Because we want to be able to rescue them from this too. And actually, hang on one second. I'm going to cut that out really quick so that we go back, because I'm going to do a commit right here. So we've got game map and game map test. That's accurate. We're going to commit. We're going to say fix character recovery test and remove any duplicate characters from the map if we have to recover. Okay, we're going to push that up. Then I'm going to put this back because this is no longer incorrect. This is invalid. We should still have no errors now in our future understanding of this. We're still going to recover them, so that should be fine. I need to focus on my focus. I went scrolling on Reels for an hour. You'll get that. It's a trap. one of the things that I find helpful, because like I quit social media before I started this stuff, like years and years ago, but I'm back on it because I started this crap. And one of the things I find helpful is I don't look at it on my phone at all. I closed it, I logged out of it, not on the phone, not allowed, right? Keeps me from wasting time that way. Because 2 seconds of boredom leads to scrolling, right? And it starts with good intentions of, I'll just see if there's anything I can respond to. An hour goes away. When I want to focus on a thing, I don't have those tabs open. I put them in another browser or whatever you want to do with that. Close them if you want to, right? Either way, I keep it out away from, like, because you'll reflexively be like, oh, I'll just check this really quick, right? So I just keep it away. Keep the temptation away completely. If you don't see it, you don't need to click on it, and you don't get trapped. Plus, it breaks your ability to concentrate. Yeah. I don't know if they've done any, like, scientific discovery on that or study on that or not. But a lot of people seem to think so. But yeah, I found that I was spending more and more time wasted scrolling, getting distracted from things that I should be doing. Insidious trap. Fortunately, it made it easier for me to recognize, like, quitting and not being on social media for like 5 years. Made it easier for me to recognize how I can say, look, I just wasted 20 minutes doing nothing useful. I need to address this problem, right? Okay. So, right now we error. We need to pull out this recovery code. So, we can put you into a private function method here. Recover character. We can probably just give you a pointer. I'm not going to return an error. I don't think. And basically, all of this is going to go into it. Actually, I might return an error. Oh, but then I'm logging sometimes and returning other times. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to. People like Elon and Steve Jobs have something called 80-20 rule, which is 80% focus and 20% distractions. Yeah, that's hard to... It makes a great soundbite, right? But it's hard to have hard and fast rules like that. I try to think of it more like if I'm off work, quote unquote, right? Then whatever, it's fine. Whether that be like actually at a job or working on a thing in time that you've set aside to work on a thing, right? Either way, if I'm off work, then it's fine. If I'm at work or quote unquote on work, you know, whatever you want to call it, I just try to avoid them completely. And it makes me more intentional, like where I'm like, okay, I'm done for the day being productive. I'm gonna play video games or whatever. And if I see that tab there, I'm like, yeah, waste a little time. It's fine, you know. Okay. Let's see here. Helper. Yes, recover character. So all this goes in here, but I gotta be careful. This actually needs to go up back where it was. In fact, it still is because we didn't delete anything yet, so that's fine. Error moving character. So this will be our break. This is where we're going to call recover character char. Right. But I guess we probably can just do a bool here for success or failure. I don't love doing that, but otherwise I'm going to be returning errors or not when I might have actually had errors that I'm just silently logging. Oh, you jerk. Why? Why do you do this? And I try not to just, like, silently do crap that's surprising. So, I'm going to fix that. There. Stop it, you big jerk. And I'm going to return the bool instead so that we can say in here, when we had that, okay is recover character, right? We already used okay. Oh, yeah, okay. I guess we could call you recovered. That's fine. So, all of this stuff is going to go away completely. And we're going to do this here, basically, where instead of that, we're going to make our decision here. And we could actually just say, if it's okay, if I use the right there we go. Spell it correctly, it'll help. If we recovered, then we're going to log this warning here and return nil. That's still true. Otherwise, we're going to return an error that's going to get logged. But we might do something different with it later. But it's not going to be this anymore. It's going to be error moving character ID recovery unsuccessful. Like so. I missed the dial-up phase of internet. It was so much more useful, and you had to time your connection because it's billed by the minute. I remember that. Yeah, I don't think I missed that, really. I miss the old internet in the sense of there was so much cool stuff there. Ooh, I could return the location I put you at. Let's do that. But I don't miss dial-up in that sense, for sure. So up here, or down here rather, bool, and then the coordinate point. There. In one of the places I grew up, which was where we had email only, that was my first internet. It was actually a long distance phone call to actually call the server, because the nearest data center, I guess. Would that be what you call it? Yeah, kind of, I think, right? Anyway, the nearest place to dial in to their server would have been like 100 miles away. So it was even more expensive. I don't actually know what you would have called that in that era. We came to the internet late. I grew up on... What was it that came with... So my first computer, the first family computer, was Windows 95. And it came with Encarta Encyclopedia. So looking things up on the computer meant opening the encyclopedia. Putting in the disk, running that. Sure, dial-up sucked big time? Yeah. I mean, dial-up itself wasn't terrible in the era where it started to get cheaper and more accessible, because we had it for a while. I've played Battlefield 1942 on dial-up, and it actually worked great. Like, surprisingly well. But yeah. Cable is what we had after that, and that was so much better, just in general. But the old internet was way cooler. And I've written about that, like, that's one of the things that has been, like, taken from us, so to speak, in the sort of modernization, where now it's like, 4 fucking websites is the entire internet. That's not cool. I remember Encarta, it was cool for its time. You have video clips. Yeah. Absolutely. And pictures and everything else. I did a lot of school assignments. Printed out Encarta pictures. What the hell was I doing? Okay, yeah, okay. So, if there is an error here, we're going to log it like so. Down here, if we had a recover error, then we're going to log this and return false. I'm going to error F that. And again, we're going to say, this is very bad. Shouldn't happen. If it does, we need to... Oh, yeah. I hope. Then we return false and nil, but I can't do that. I can do coordinates invalid, though. So let's do that. My first family computer was a Commodore PC-10-3 XT-PC with 8080 processor and 2 5.5 floppy drives. Ooh! Ballin'! 360K capacity per floppy. It was 1987. Nice. 2 floppy drives. The lap of luxury. We had, later in life, through a series of 640K of RAM, no hard disk drive. Yeah. Through a series of events in life, later on, I had I don't even know what. It was a thing where, like, I don't remember. It did have a 5.5 floppy, or 5.25 floppy, but I don't know what it was anymore. It was a case of, this is the old computer that we ended up having. You can have it in your room. And I was cool with that. It didn't really do much. I played Commander Keen on it. I think that's about it. But yeah. And we also acquired at one point somewhere along the way a box with Windows, what was like 3.1, I think, something like that. So I got to experience that era as well. Kind of the same situation of like, this is the old computer, here you can have it thing, you know? So I got to learn about like how computers used to be a little bit through experience in that regard. This is going to be true, and then our target location. But I do kind of regret that I didn't get to experience the demo scene and all of that in the early like magazines, because we didn't get any of that crap. Like the early magazines where people learned how to program by like typing in manually the code from a magazine to make a game. Like, I wish I did live in that world. Hello, my friends. Have you ever heard of zombies? Ate my friends? I've heard of zombies, yes. I've not heard of eating your friends. I don't think that's a thing. You shouldn't do that. It's bad. It was a game that existed back in 2012, but removed by Disney a long time ago. Gotcha. No, I don't think I've heard of that one. Alright, so this should now work, I think, for both of our cases. Here we should not get our error on the move. Oop, we didn't do that, though. This, okay, we need to do that. Why are you doing that? What in the world is going on? Oh, because you're collapsed, duh. It has a good OST if you want to hear it. My favorite one is the Safe House. Gotcha. Cool. Oh yeah, I even left myself a to-do that we needed to handle that correctly. So this is going to be kind of the same deal, where we have if recovered location is our m.recover character char. If this is recovered, then we are going to do the same thing. Yeah, this is going to be same. All the same. Okay. That, I think, gets us squared away. Demo scene was very big in the 90s. They held big parties in Amsterdam with all sorts of competitions. Never heard of zombies? Yeah. Yeah, I hear super cool things about it. Like, I didn't actually go to any LAN parties or stuff like that. I lived in a very, very small town. The closest thing to a LAN party was getting together with friends to play Xboxes. We did once actually hook them up. Like, we had a big birthday... one of my friends had a big birthday party. and a couple people brought Xboxes, so we hooked them up and did like Halo on 2 TVs back to back. So, and then the local networking for the Xboxes and all that. So we had like, you know, one team on one side, the other team on the other side. That was kind of cool. But I didn't get to like experience the really big LAN party scene. Nobody ever duct taped me to the ceiling so I could play Counter-Strike. Alright, I was going to run all of these. We did have some cool games back then, though. I remember one... like Night at the Museum, something museum, where you like walked around in the museum at night that you got locked into, and it was like a puzzle game. So you had to go to the exhibits and fix them because they were all broken, and it was just like a ton of different puzzles. Played that a lot. There was Project Journeyman, which was like a clicky aroundy sort of like dungeon crawler type deal, but it was more of an open world, quote unquote, you know, where like you could go to different cities and stuff, and there was like a mystery plot going on and stuff, and you were like a cyborg guy. Ooh, LAN parties. We had a club with like 486. We played Warcraft 3 all the time. Nice. Yeah. I played the original StarCraft all alone in the campaign. But very briefly, I explored battle.net when it was kind of early, and discovered that I don't like action per minute games competitively. Campaign, super fine. Did not like the competitive scene. But I did not get to play any of the early Warcrafts. World of Warcraft was actually my first Warcraft game. But I played a lot of Vanilla WoW. I was very bad at Vanilla WoW, because I hadn't played a game like that ever, and I didn't really understand the fundamental concept of like finding the optimal rotation in those days. I was just like, all right, cool, I got some skills, I'm just gonna do what I feel like, you know, just vibing. But I had a lot of fun with it. Just I enjoyed it more as an RPG, where I could wander around and do quests and stuff. And then eventually, I was like, all right, get my butt kicked. I need to get good. Later we gathered, people brought their own desktops, laptops were very rare. Yeah, we barbecued and played all night, yep. I'm sad that I didn't get to experience that just because of where I lived. And because, like, we grew up poor, so having good computers was not a thing. We had that Windows 95 box until, like, as the primary computer until like early 2000s. That was the computer until then. And it lived until the hard drive eventually died. All 2.5 gigs of it. Place character at point. So we actually do this now as part of our recovery. So I think I'm okay with that. All of our tests are now passing. This we just did by doing this. I do want to say, if character is somehow at an invalid location, to recover them. We also need to be careful here that... Ooh. We actually have to engage recovery here, too. Which means we're going to have to put testing around it. Yeah. Alright, that's fine. It's going to look mostly like exactly what we already did. So that's okay. Cool story, kind of the same here. Hardware was much more expensive back in the day because of tariffs. Yeah. So we scraped by reusing old computers. Yep. It was a good way to learn about hardware and stuff too, though, and how to figure out what was broken. Scrounge up a new one somehow. Okay, let's commit this because we fixed the thing, and then we will... If I could type, it would help. Fix recovery of characters that are not, or that are in an invalid location. So let's do... I want to make sure... Before I do this, we need to be more careful here. We already tested our move messages, right? In character. But... Sure, and computers were simpler, so much easier to repair. Yeah. Well, I mean, yes and no. Like, I'm trying to think of anything I've had to repair in the modern era that didn't still follow the old rules, you know. Because, like, it's all more or less the same. You get a printed circuit board, and if it's damaged, then things don't work. And that's not something I ever had to do in that era. But, like, you know, a bad RAM stick is a bad RAM stick. You don't repair floppy drives nowadays. Yes, that's true. Like, mechanical repairs on things like that. Or CD-ROM drives, yeah. That kind of stuff used to be easier. But then again, like, I haven't even had a CD drive in too long. I need to, like, get an external one at some point, like, when I have the money to spend, that I'm willing to spend on just luxury items like that. I need to get one, because I have, like, a ton of CDs still. I realized that I had kept my, my old collection, I guess, of music and CDs. And I don't know if any of them are still good or not. Or if they've just, you know, the sticky crap has degraded to the point where they can't even be read anymore. One day I'll pick up an external drive, plug it in, and slurp all that stuff off of there, whatever I can get from the old days. That's fun. Let's let OBS get reconnected here really quick. I need to go, let me double check this. I need to go and run off of the Starlink router for a little bit. I'll probably do that tonight, make sure everything's working, and then tomorrow I will stream off of it so that I can send them the more graphs and say, okay, here, I'm using your crappy router. I'm still getting massive drop-offs, which I'm sure that I will, because I can see everything tank on their statistics app. And if they paid their help desk more than 13 cents a goddamn day, they might know that. Oop. I'll just hit that. Because I want them to fix the damn thing. Because it's been getting worse. And I don't like it. I used to be able to get through a stream with a couple drops. And now it's all the damn time. Such is the way of the modern world. Okay, what was I doing? I was, we need to test this guy, better. Because we moved them, and I'm not concerned about the messages here. Well, maybe I am. Like, we just accept that there's no error and move on, and that's not really great. At all. So, to do, we created our helper, we can use it. So we should do that. We should be doing it here and here as well. This is good. We do the looks. Everything should be good here. Let's do it here. We should test placing or place character at point, and should test recovery when place character at point is given. Well, no, hang on. Let me think here. Because you're a helper more than anything, if you tell me to be spawned in a wrong area, I should return you, or a point that isn't inbounds, I should return you an error. That's going to be a concern for whoever's calling it, which is going to be the game manager when we spawn somebody. So, what if we did that will make you exported when character can't be spawned at the or placed at the location or is in an unknown / invalid location. It will attempt to recover them to their last known location if it is in app bounds or to the default recovery location if not. Okay, and then other things. So if you try to spawn somebody and you get an error, you should try that. That's what I think. And because we use... Yeah, we have an error there, so that's fine. Yeah, we could have ended up in a loop if we tried to do that. If we tried to recover them again here. Because we do enter and notify and all that, I think we'd be okay. Yeah, I'm good with that. We should still test these, though. Let's put you up here. And I'm going to commit, rename the and export the lost character recovery method. Other things may need to use it, i.e. game manager when spawning a character. Add to-dos to test file. Alright. Because we're about to be done for the day. Because it's just about 4 hours. And it's getting super hot here right now. It's very warm in here. But we're really close to done with this. Let's find out what else is still failing other than, I think, yeah. Everything else is passing. This is the last thing we need to do for this. And then we'll have to do, tackle some other stuff. But the great refactoring is nearly done. But this is going to be a good starting point tomorrow to get warmed up, I think. So, I'm going to call it here for today before I melt. Good luck, have fun. Yeah, appreciate it. But thank you to everybody who came to hang out with me. It's good to see those of you who are returning viewers. Good to meet those of you who are new. I do this thing 4 days a week for roughly 4 hours, starting on Friday and ending on Monday. So if you like this kind of thing, come on back tomorrow. I'd love to see you again around 10 a.m. Central Time. And if not, you guys have a great weekend anyway. What even day is it? It's Sunday, right? Yeah. No, it's Saturday. So you guys have a